too early. As the New York Times reports, in Florida, COVID cases are up fivefold in 2 weeks. The numbers are scary. So how much will reopening too soon play into the November election? Let's ask presidential strategist, best-selling author, and Newsmax analyst Dick Morris. Dick, welcome back. Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
All right. Well, medical experts have been warning about a resurgence for a while now. We're starting to see that in all these states. It looks like this will be continuing into November. How big of an impact will this have on Trump?
Well, how big of an impact on the country? Start with that. It depends on what happens with the death rate. You look at the charts right now, Florida is soaring new cases, but absolutely flat in terms of deaths. So it may be that the people that are being infected are younger and not particularly vulnerable to the virus. Of course, they can spread it to people who are vulnerable, but that takes a while, and by then, hopefully, we'll have a vaccine. So that's the first question. In terms of the politics of the situation, I don't think that COVID is going to be a big factor in the election. I think that Biden has made his case that Trump acted too late, and I think it basically fell with a thud. I don't particularly see that as a particularly important issue in the election.
Interesting. That's. I think it's going to be interesting to see, because I think it depends on where it goes in the fall, because the media is going to continue to hype on the federal government's response. I think you're right. The death rate and the hospitalization rate is what we focus on, but the media keeps hyping up the case count, makes it seem like a bigger issue than it may be. But let me switch gears for a second and call your attention to a report that was in Axios last night. And it talks about how the president is trying to brand Joe Biden. And it says, from sleepy to senile, inside the Trump campaign's effort to rebrand Biden, President Trump and his top advisors are trying to rebrand Joe Biden as a danger to America, with some aides privately admitting that Sleepy Joe will never gin up the same visceral reaction they exploited against crooked Hillary Clinton. Dick, I actually think that this makes a ton of sense. Joe Biden is not somebody, you may not like his policies, but I think generally people think he's a nice person. And whereas with Hillary Clinton, it was a much more visceral reaction. So what does the campaign have to do with respect to branding Biden?
It has to pivot its whole approach in attacking Biden from a host of other issues like China and his past civil rights record, and instead focus on the looming danger of what will happen if he becomes president and the mobs led by AOC and these crazies take over power in this country. And the idea that I think ties those together is Joe Biden is too weak to stop them. So they want to topple monuments. They want to topple our heritage, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Ulysses Grant, and Joe Biden is too weak to stop them. And I think that if people see the barbarians at the gate, as it were, and Joe Biden is standing between them and the barbarians, and they think he's a slender reed, I think that's the key point. So sleepy and old and all that, that doesn't discuss the looming danger. I would prefer things like weak and over the hill, maybe even senile. But the important point is to reflect the fact that he is no bulwark against these crazies who are invading our country and totally changing who we are and what we say we are.
When you say invading our country, I mean, do you mean specifically or metaphorically? Because it's obviously the people you mentioned are Americans.
Yeah, they're Americans. But they reject our heritage. They reject
Okay.
our
All right. Interesting.
We need to point that out, the whole of the value system. And it's a frontal attack on what it means to be an American.
All right. Well, this is going to be interesting how they pivot. I think that you're right, though. The Sleepy Joe is not the attack. I don't know that that actually gets anyone motivated to not vote for Joe. They just go, hey, maybe it's actually a good thing that we kind of mellow out after 4 turbulent years. So I think they're on the right track to rebrand this thing. And I think you're right that the more you see him as weak, that's probably a better brand than Sleepy. So, but we'll figure out whether or not they take your advice in the next little while. We'll bring you back to chat about that soon. All right?
Thank you.
All right. Well, the cancel culture claims 2 more victims, the 28th president of the United States and an iconic Academy Award-winning actor, known to many as the Duke. Well, does it ever end? We're going to discuss it next.